Doctors are making progress in treating brain tumors these days. 13,000 people a year die from this very destructive disease.
That's right. For family members, their last months and days spent with the terminal patient are not only sad but stressful. This morning, Fox 25's Katie DeLon joins us with another story, which is part of her month-long look at brain tumors. Good morning, Katie.
Guys, good morning. You know, the Fortenberrys, they're a strong family. They have a great belief system. But, this past December, their strength would be tested.
From the moment they met at a South Texas Dairy Queen,
I noticed her and commented that, well, that girl in yellow has potential.
David Fortenberry was smitten with Shirley Mitchum.
There was an attraction just immediately.
After 3 years of dating, David married the girl with potential and started a family. Lauren, born in 1986, Emily in 93, and Josie, she came along 5 years later.
Shirley, loved being a mom. She loved her family.
David says Shirley was the center who held the family together. But last December, the family came unwound.
And it was really amazing, scary, terrifying to see her short-term memory just come unwound just in a matter of 2 or 3 days.
It started when Shirley couldn't remember when David was coming home from a work trip or when he was going to pick up their daughters from school.
Well, I'm waiting for Josie to get out of school and my phone rings and it's Shirley and she says, "What are you doing?" And I looked across and Shirley was in the driver's line, in the car line, waiting on Josie to get out.
The loss of Shirley's short-term memory left David confused, and the couple started seeing their primary care doctor, her OBGYN, looking for answers. Finally, a neurologist took an MRI of Shirley's brain.
Before we even got in the driveway, the doctor was calling and told us that it was a tumor.
The neurosurgeon gave the worst news. Her condition, terminal. David dreaded telling his daughters. Because of Shirley's short-term memory, he would have to do it alone.
Shirley went on in the house, and the 2 older girls came out. They wanted to.
Is that when you told them right there?
Yeah. There was a lot of tears.
Doctors wanted to buy Shirley time with chemo and radiation, giving her at most 9 months to live.
It just crushed all hope.
While David and the girls coped, Shirley's short-term memory left her unaware of the time she had left.
She was content, she was happy.
But in January, it became clear Shirley's time was running out.
She was in bed and I was getting cleaned up and I came out and tried to wake her up and I couldn't wake her up. Called 911. It was a pretty bad scene for the girls. Ended up with the, paramedics, firemen. She was laying on her side. When I turned her over, she had reached down. There was a photo of us from Christmas 2 or 3 years ago, and she was holding that.
Do you think that was the last thing she saw?
At the hospital, doctors told David his wife of 27 years suffered a life-threatening hemorrhage.
It really took me a few minutes to really realize what was going on exactly. We thought we had more time than we had. We weren't ready.
On January 20th, Shirley Fortenberry lost her battle with cancer, a brain tumor taking her life at 47. But this would not be David's last fight with the disease. A month later, his mother Mary was diagnosed with a brain tumor growing between her skull and brain. Fortunately, doctors give the 74-year-old a much better prognosis. It's also given David a new outlook on life.
Don't live for 10 years down the road, and you hear it all the time and you know it, but do you really live it? Make sure that you appreciate each day that you have.
And I was just telling Matt and Angie, David also has, I believe, another relative, a niece, a young little girl that also has a brain tumor. So all of a sudden, 3 people in his life at once have a brain tumor. And what's so interesting about, I mentioned it affected Shirley's short-term memory, but it also changed the way she ate. She all of a sudden liked spinach and iced tea. I thought that was just the oddest thing,
Very interesting.
But so many times, the symptoms for a brain tumor are mistaken for something else. Matt and Angie, coming up after the break, we'll find out what you need to look for if you think your loved loved one might be suffering from the disease.
All right, sad
Some
story.
good information.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie.
Welcome back. The time is now 8:38. You know, just before the break, we told you about Shirley Fortenberry, who died from a brain tumor in January, just 40 days after her diagnosis. We can tell you David and his girls, ages 22, 16, and 11, are doing well. David says they're learning to do laundry and cooking, and the eldest daughter, Lauren, actually took a semester off from college to help out her dad. And you know what? Joining me this morning is Nancy Thomason with the Oklahoma Brain Tumor Foundation. Nancy, you know, when I talked to David, he sometimes said that he would just scratch his head and thought, I missed some of the signs, but it can be so hard to see the signs of a brain tumor. Tell us about that.
Correct, right. Well, brain tumors are typically misdiagnosed initially. So if they were able to diagnose that when they first when they first took Shirley in, then that's a plus. But the symptoms of a brain tumor are really very much like other types of common illnesses and diseases that we have. And it's sometimes everyday diseases. Like in children, they'll lots of times exhibit signs of like flu-like symptoms, gastrointestinal problems, and those types of things. In adults, you know, it can be a wide variety of things, from memory loss, we think we're getting older. It can be hearing loss, which we think we're getting older.
Right.
You know, and sometimes the symptoms that make the physicians actually go, okay, I need to do some neurological testing or do a CAT scan or MRI, are further down in the disease progress and process, and so it makes it harder to treat that once it's gotten further along.
Right. And Nancy, May is Oklahoma Brain Tumor Awareness Month, and we've got some events that you guys are doing.
Right.
Tell us about the first event on May 9th.
Well, May 8th.
May 8th, sorry.
Friday, it's okay. Friday, May 8th is the Celebration of Hope at the awards banquet that we're going to have at the Oklahoma History Center, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Jason White, I think Steve Owens is going to be there, some other local celebrities, food tastings, wine, spirits tastings, so that's going to be a really good time.
That's going to be fun. And then
Right.
May 11th, we've got the golf scramble.
Swing for Hope Golf Tournament, and that's at Belmar, Toby Keith's Belmar Golf Club, and that's going to be a really good time too. We have several golf spots still available if people are interested in golfing. So,
all right,
please come out.
Yes, and we're hoping for some really great weather. And I know John is standing by in the forecast center. John, I know it's too early to predict May, what the weather's going to be like in May, but we're just keeping our fingers crossed for a good forecast.